Well, hello everyone. Welcome to the Parish of the Resurrection and to our midweek encouragement. You're very welcome, and of course, very welcome to our guest for this week, who is Judy Nicholls. She's got her posh name on the screen. It says Judith Nicholls.
Oh yes, that's right.
Yes. Of course, I think many of you will know Judy. Judy is a member at Alton Methodist Church and is their senior steward, I think, at the moment.
At the moment.
And involved in so many of the things that go on in life of the churches in Alton, and particularly our Greater Alton project. So we thought it'd be good just to see and find out a little bit more about her and her life. So you're very welcome, Judy.
Thank you.
And you're in your little home on the other side of the churchyard from St Lawrence.
I am, yes. My lovely little rose cottage.
Little rose cottage. Now, Judy, I think you might spend a little bit of time each day drinking a cup of tea. So I wondered, how do you like your tea? Because that's the big question. How do you like your tea?
I like it strong with just a little milk.
Ooh.
And always in a china cup or mug.
Have you got a special china mug?
I've got one, which I've got here.
You need to bring it just across into the camera a little bit. Yeah, great.
Right there. Which was given to me when I left Alton Infants, which is now about 24 years ago. So I've done pretty well not smashing it. So it's still going strong.
Yeah. So Judy's already given us a little preview there of what she's been going up to in her time in Alton. But let's find out first. Judy, when did you come to Alton? I think you've been here a few years now.
Yes, I've been here 36 years this coming Christmas.
Wow.
I came
to this town.
Well, I came to be head at Alton Infants School, and I started my teaching in London. I started in Stoke Newington, which is now very trendy, but I can assure you it was not trendy in 1968, far from it, but it was interesting and fun. And then I went to teach in Harlesden, Stonebridge, in the middle of a big high-rise estate, which was also interesting and lots of fun. And I was coming up to 40, and although I'd loved London, I'd been to college in London and I'd stayed to teach, I knew that I wanted something different for the next phase of my life. So I started looking around for schools for headships, because I was already a head. Headships that wouldn't be too far from London, because I would be moving on my own, and all my friends at that time were still in London. I wanted to be able to get back fairly easily. And in the situations vacant, in the good old educational supplement, TES, there was Alton Infant School. And I took a day and came down and had a look, because I thought, I'm not applying anywhere when I haven't seen it already. And I just got a feeling that I could be very happy there. So I applied and I got the job.
Wow. And that was 36 years ago. I
came at Christmas 1986 to start the January term 1987.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
So tell us, what was it about Alton that you really liked and, kind of made you feel that you could live here?
Well, I came and I walked up from the station, and it was a lovely sunny day, and I saw the school, which is, as you will know, has got a very interesting it's a lovely building, that the old part of it. And I don't know really, Andrew, it was just a feeling that this was kind of meant to be, if you like. So I really, really hoped that I would get the job, and I did. I was very fortunate, and I was there for 11 and a half years.
And I think then you went to a school in Bordon, isn't that right?
I did, a bit reluctantly. I was very, very happy at Alton. I had wonderful staff, great governors, I could have easily stayed there until I retired, but I felt I had one more challenge in me.
Yep.
I had two very different schools already. My school in London was very, very multicultural, second generation immigrant mostly from all over the world. Alton was very different with different challenges. I felt I had one more in me, and the headship of Wayford Nursery and Infant in Bordon came up, and I did feel that God spoke to me. It's the only time I felt He really speak to me, and I know exactly where I was. I was at Black Nest Golf Club on a head teachers meeting, and I was pouring coffee, and the current head of the school said to me, and this was about the February, I'm going to retire in the summer. And I just knew there was a finger pointing at me and saying, that's your job, you go for that. And I really fought it. I really didn't want it. I thought it's going to be a huge challenge. Much as I wanted another challenge, I thought maybe this was a bit of a challenge too far. But I went for the interview, and you laugh at this because I went to Sarah, who was already head in Alton in Bordon Infants, and I said to her, I give me your phone, I'm going to have to withdraw. I really don't think, I'm up to this job. And of course, being Sarah, she said, oh, don't be so silly, sit there and I'll get you a cup of tea. And I did as I was told. Did as I was told. I can't remember whether it was a China mug. And of course, I took the job. And although it was very tough because they were in serious weaknesses, and then, as you know, as ex-teacher, as staff is very demoralised in that situation. And it was really hard work. But I think of all my three schools, I think I made more of a difference there than I had in either of the others. So it was definitely the place that He wanted me to be. Yeah.
I know lots of people who really love teaching, but actually sometimes teaching gets a bit of a bad press, doesn't it? Whatever. What would you say to someone about, starting out in a teaching career? What's the nugget?
It's an amazing privilege to see children learn and develop, not just academically, but socially and emotionally as well. And it's really lovely because I've been in Alton a long time. So, I was starting to teach the children of children that I taught. I still see families in Alton that I can remember and see them with their own children now, or hear from parents about what they're doing. And that it's an enormous privilege. And I loved it. I mean, I loved the job when I was in it. I'm not sure that I'd be up to it now, but it is a very, very rewarding job to do. But right. You've got to really want to do it,
Yes.
Don't do it if you can't just think of anything else to do. Be sure that you really want to do it.
Yeah. Great. Now, Judy, you've been retired a few years now.
Lots, yeah.
How long?
It'll be 18 years at 18 Christmas.
Years. So tell us a little bit, how have you filled that time? Because you don't go to school. Well, you think you do go to some schools now, but how do you know?
Well, I can tell you that the Christmas before I'd retired at Christmas, and just before, Christine Allen just showed me a newsletter and said, I'd like you to just read that and think about it. And it was looking for somebody to do Junior Boys Brigade. Okay. So I retired at Christmas, started as a Boys Brigade officer in the January. Yeah. So that took a little bit of time, and I did that for about 10 or 11 years. When I very first retired, I think apart from that, I did have a little bit of a rest.
Good.
But about 17 years ago, I started with Christine and with Sarah and with Elizabeth Carling. I don't know whether she was still alive. Do you remember?
Yeah.
We started the ecumenical coffee morning at the Methodist Church, which is still going, as you know. So that I started. And I did do a little bit in schools. I did work a little bit in the Little Green Dragon, if you can remember the bookshop.
Yes, bookshop.
Yeah, because my friend Jackie owned that, and I worked there for a bit, and that was great. I loved that. And I also worked for a little bit for the intercultural inspector for Hampshire, and did training in schools for about 3 years after I retired. And then I thought, you know, I'm too far away from the classroom now. I can't be telling people what they should be doing. So we'll finish that now. So
now,
yeah,
you're quite involved down at Alton Methodist Church, aren't you? In lots of different ways. Tell us a little about what does that mean to you? Tell us a little bit about your faith.
Well, I wasn't brought up to go to Sunday school or anything like that. And my parents, my dad had come from a congregational church background and my mum from an Anglican, but they weren't church goers. And I started at the Porthkerry Road Methodist Church in Barry, Gavin and Stacey country.
Yeah, absolutely.
With a friend of mine, Joan, who is still my oldest friend. She went to a sort of youth group at the Methodist Church, and I'd started going with her when I was about 13. And they had a fantastic youth club, which I think kept me on the straight and narrow through my teens. They did a lot of drama and a lot of fundraising. And we used to come up to London every year for Methodist Association of Youth Clubs weekend. And so I was very involved there. And then I went to Methodist College. I went to Southlands Methodist College, which is now part of Roehampton Institute. And the building on Parkside is very expensive flats now, where we had our rather ropey rooms. So I was very involved in that. And then I slid away. And I have to say that at the time I was looking to move from London, although on the surface I was quite successful. I had, was running a good school and had lots of friends, and spiritually I was empty. And I thank God that Jesus found me and he brought me home. I think about the old hymn, I was lost, but Jesus found me, found the sheep that went astray. And I was the sheep that had gone astray, basically. And he found me and he brought me home. And for them, I thank him every day. And I think coming to Alton was part of that, bringing me home, bringing me back into the narrow way. And I moved here on the 21st of December. And the 24th, I went to Alton Methodist Church midnight service. Yeah. And I've never left.
Never looked back.
Never left there.
Brilliant.
Yeah. So it's my second home. I love it very much. But I also am very, very fond of St. Lawrence, which is on my doorstep. I look at every morning when I open my curtains, which, as you know, Andrew, is not always very early.
No, it's not always very early. But you hear the bells and you hear the clock.
I love the bells. I hated it when they were not working. And I really love the GAP project and working together. I just think that is the best thing. And I sometimes think that we don't appreciate it enough here in Alton. You only have to go to other parts of the country and talk about it, and people look at you in amazement.
I know. I mean, I'm always amazed by colleagues I have when I talk about not just GAP, but our ecumenical relationships in Alton. They're bowled away by the way that we work together. So it's really good, isn't it?
And as you know, I'm secretary to GAP Council, keeping me in order.
Absolutely. So thank you for all of that. And you stayed in Alton all this time. So there must be something that keeps you here. Yeah, so there must be Alton Methodist Church and GAP. What else keeps you here? I've just
been so blessed in the friends that I've made in Alton. Because it's not easy when you move on your own.
Yeah.
And I just feel I've been so fortunate in making a small group of really, really, really close friends, and then a much bigger group of good friends as well, through the church. I mean, working in the food bank with all the people from the different churches, I've met so many people and made friends through there. Also, of course, through GAP and coming to different things. Also to the wonderful holidays that I was the token Methodist on, to Israel and Greece and Turkey. And when you have those experiences, I think it deepens friendship between people, because they are such special experiences.
That's right.
And I think Alton is a very friendly place. There's so much going on. It's just, there's so many lovely coffee shops. I'm very keen on the coffee shops.
And breakfasts, I think.
And breakfast, yes, with our friends for breakfast. But I just love it, and I love my house. I mean, I like going away. I like going to Italy, especially, although maybe not this year with all the hassles at the airport. But every time I come in, I kind of, it's my little house. I feel I'm so lucky to have it, and to live in Alton, really. I'm very, very fortunate.
Thank you. That's really lovely to hear. I mean, it's also interesting how many people, when you ask the question, they say, Alton is just so friendly.
Yeah.
You know, you talk about it and people say, hey, you got to walk down the road and someone speaks to you.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've just done a funeral, Judy, and there was a lady who came to the funeral who I pass every morning when I'm walking Otty. Yeah. And we always say hello. You know, and it's just amazing, isn't it? You know, people turn up and you think, oh, I know that lady. It happens so often. It's just such a lovely place, isn't it? Yeah. Judy, it's been really good to hear the things about your life. We've only heard a little bit, really. You've got a lot more to tell, I know. But you've encouraged us this afternoon, and those who watch this, I hope, will be encouraged and find out a little bit about you, but find out about your faith, and find out about what makes you tick. And we just rejoice that you are part of our friendship and our fellowship in the parish of the Resurrection. And I'm sure there'll be some comments made to you about this little interview. Great. Now, we always finish, don't we, by praying for you. So do you want I pray for you?
Please do.
Let's do that. Heavenly Father, we thank you for Judy. We thank you for her life. We thank you for her vision. And we thank you for the way in which she encourages us in so many different ways. Thank you that you found her, you brought her back to her faith, and that you've given her a home in Alton Methodist Church and also in GAP. So, Father, would you continue to bless her? Would you bless her lovely home, which she enjoys so much? Would you bless all of her friendships? And would she know more of your grace and your mercy and your love each and every day? And we ask this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Andrew.
No, thank you. What a privilege to speak to you.